Hey guys, OGalbina here, and I don't have a BBR video for you guys today. Unfortunately, we got the forfeit win, so against Fanatax, just because he didn't have time to play this week. So unfortunately, we do not have a BBR battle to go up. So I thought I'd bring you guys something else, something interesting instead, and we're going to be doing a tier list video based on Pokemon abilities in a draft league setting. Now, I got this idea 100% from Pokemon challenges. I've been watching and binging his channel a bunch over the last few days, and he did this for from the perspective of a Nuzlocke setting, and I thought that was really, really interesting. It was a really fun video to watch, and I figured it'd be cool to do it from a draft league perspective. So let's go ahead and get you guys some content in the place of BBR this week. There'll be a battle next week, just nothing this week. Before we jump in though, I do want to set a like goal. I feel like this is if you guys are enjoying this content, a like goal is a good way for me to kind of gauge whether or not you are enjoying this. So if we can hit like 20 likes or something like this, I'll try and get like a tier list video out every week. I enjoy making them, but they are kind of tiring. They're really bad on the throat. My throat always hurts after doing these. So let me know if you guys are enjoying. Drop a comment too on what you think of my list. If there's any that like, no, and you're an idiot. There's no way this ability is this good or this bad, or what you think the best ability in draft is, or if you just want to bump me in the algorithm a little bit, I'd really appreciate it. So yeah, without further ado, let's go ahead and jump in. I'm not going to spend a bunch of time doing these. You can also see this tier right here, the not going to use tier. I have that pretty much solely for the purpose of Pokemon abilities that are specific to certain Pokemon that you're not going to use. So like I can tell you right now, I'll just put it there now. Delta Stream, not going to use it, because when the hell are you going to use Mega Ray in a draft league? So it's going to be stuff like that. And yeah, let's go and jump in. So first up, we have Adaptability. Now, if you know me, you know I'm a big PZ guy. I think PZ is an amazing Pokemon. Adaptability is obviously an absolutely amazing ability in draft, making Pokemon like Porygon Z so much more strong and difficult to deal with. As for other Pokemon that get it, you have things like Crawdon that become an absolute menace in the right match, especially when you play against fatter builds and things like that. Especially mons like Porygon and Crawdon can just rip through them. Dragalge is another great example of this. Basculin to a lower extent, because it is a Basculin, but I think at the very least, I would say Adaptability in a draft league setting is an A tier ability. I think if more things got it, we'd probably see it in S tier, but it is a bit specific to things like PZ and Crawdon most of the time. You do see Basculin drafted a fair bit, but other than that, it's pretty much just little cup Pokemon. You have Mega Beedrill and Mega Lucario. Mega Lucario is obviously an Uber Pokemon. You're not going to see that very often, but you do have Mega B, which also makes it a big threat, throwing off big adaptability, poison jabs, and U-turns. So definitely can't complain about that. Next up, Aerolate. Aerolate's very good. Now you see the picture of Mega Ments on here. Obviously, you're not going to get the chance to do that, but when you have stuff like Pinsir that get it, very solid Pokemon with the ability. Obviously, it was much better in Gen 6 than it was in Gen 7 with the ability being that they nerfed it from, I believe, 1.5 to 1.3 times, but it's still a great boost. However, now when we get into Generation 8, it seems like they just really hated Mega Pinsir. I guess they hated it because it's not in the game anymore, but I feel like they really don't like it because of the sense that it lost return and things like that, and it can't run like Double Edge plus Quick Attack or Body Slam plus Quick Attack, and it's really the most relevant mon with Aerolate in the meta, and I think it really suffers, especially in Nat decks like Showdown leagues and stuff like that. It really isn't half as good as it used to be, so I'm going to bump it into B. It's another ability a lot like Adaptability. I feel like if more things had it, it would be a lot better, but obviously you only have Mega Ments, and then you have what do you call it, Mega Pinsir, and then yeah, that's legit it. But very solid ability on paper. Obviously Mega Ments is busted. Aftermath is very solid. I actually think Aftermath is an incredibly slept on ability. Obviously doing just that good residual chip, especially in conjunction with like a Rocky Helmet on like your Garbodor or something like that, or even your Skuntank, for those Pokemon that are really going to be a big issue for you. Something like an Urshifu single Rapid Strike that's going to be clicking Wicked Blow. You you tack this on your Garbodor, you're switching, they take 3 hits of Rocky Helmet, you die, and then they take the Aftermath after. Genuinely amazing, can make and break the difference in some games. I do think it's a little bit niche. Obviously, not a lot of Pokemon get it. It's just Skuntank and Garbodor, and then Drifblim. Drifblim is definitely not seen very often. When you see it, a lot of the time it kind of does have Unburden. So I am going to put Aftermath in B. Same thing as Aerolate. Great ability on paper. Not a lot of things that really get the opportunity to really make a lot of use of it and things like that. Airlock. I'm going to put it in there with Delta Stream. It's kind of just an ability that really only Ray gets. It's Cloud9, which I guess we'll get to Cloud9 here in a little bit, which is actually a really solid ability. But yeah, I mean, obviously you're not using Big Ray in a lot of, Showdown League and stuff like that. Analytic, another very solid ability. Very solid ability. I'm going to go ahead and put Analytic at the top of B. Now, Starmie is going to be the main picture for this. often Starmie isn't one that's going to be taking, making really, really big use of this, just because it is so darn fast. But there are Pokemon like Magnezone and Porygon too that really do appreciate having this, especially because they are slower Pokemon. And Starmie can still definitely take use of it, just because of the fact that it can force a lot of switches. And there are those matches where like Life Orb, Analytic, Hydro Pump has no switch-ins, because it's not just when you move slower, it's also when your opponent switches out. So getting that big boost on that Dark type trying to come in on your Psychic Stab, you hit him with a big Hydro Pump for 60-70%. It really makes up for Starmie's really mediocre special attack stat, in all honesty. So I think that alone kind of makes it pretty solid ability. And then obviously there are niche matchups where Magnezone can just kind of click a Analytic Flash Cannon or Thunderbolt or Volt Switch. Analytic Volt Switch, if you can get it off, is such a nice thing to have. And then Porygon 2, it really kind of makes up for sometimes its passivity, especially if it's not very invested. Now Porygon 2 isn't super passive. It still has that base 105 special attack. It's just sometimes it appreciates that extra oomph, so that things can't take advantage of it and try and set up on it and stuff like that. Now, Anger Point, I'm going to go ahead and put Anger Point in D. I don't think it's an objectively bad ability. It's just not something you're typically going to run very often. The most often I've seen an Anger Point run is like in cheeky matchups where you got an Urshifu Rapid Strike on the other side, and then there's like a Crocodile. Being a Scarf Crocodile, switching in, being Anger Point, getting to +6, and then sweeping through teams like that. Other than that, it's not something you really want to rely on. Why would you want to get crit? Most of the time when you're getting crit, it's pretty detrimental, especially in a draft or a competitive scene. So that's obviously not the best thing in the world. So I can't really justify putting it in D tier. It does still have its every once in a while uses. So I think it's definitely going to be, I can't put it in F necessarily. Anticipation, not the best. You see Toxstroke here. I believe Ferrothorn also gets it. I believe Anticipation just, is that the one that tells you if there's a super effective move, or if it's just something that's died. So it is a super effective for Oka move. It can be really nice just scouting coverage on some mons. Now, the mons that really get Anticipation, few and far in between, to be completely honest. I think it can be pretty useful on Ferrothorn, though often you're going to want Iron Barb, just because it's an objectively much better ability. But there are matchups where you don't need that Iron Barb's chip or anything like that. You aren't really afraid of those physical contact moves, and you can kind of get away with scouting and seeing if they're taking on a random Fire Punch or something like that. Or Hidden Power if it's a prior generation like 6 and 7 for Ferrothorn. I think it really appreciated back then. So I think Anticipation still has its niche uses. Other than Ferrothorn, though, I don't really think any Pokemon really appreciate it at all. Maybe Toxicroak, Rapidash, Galar, and Hatterene are the other ones, and then Whiscash, which is a Whiscash. Now, we have Dugtrio. Dougie is an amazing Pokemon. I think Dougie is great, and it's solely because of Arena Trap, and I think that's going to be our first S tier ability. I mean, look at Dougie without Arena Trap. It's an awful Pokemon. I mean, it's a genuinely terrible Pokemon, but when you give it that Arena Trap, when you give it that ability to trap things in and, eliminate threats before, other mons in your team that they might check and things like that, genuinely awesome. I've drafted Dougie a few times. I drafted it with a Gmax Alcremie in a Gmax League like a year ago, and it was awesome for trapping steals and poisons, or at least forcing them into that shed shell, and I think that's another big thing too when it comes to these trapping abilities. Forcing them into a shed shell makes it to where they're not having that passive left use recovery. They're not Assault Vest. They're not a Shook. They're not an Aqua Berry for your rate of Mystical Fire coverage or something like that. That's really good. It has a great speed tier too. I guess I'm kind of talking about Dougie now, but Arena Trap is really kind of a Dougie and Trapinch kind of thing, I suppose. But it really makes Dougie an amazing Pokemon, an absolute pain to prep for. And I think that alone, the fact that it can catapult such a crap Pokemon and make it extremely viable, is a testament to itself how good the ability. Now, Aromavale, another very solid ability. I'm gonna go ahead and put Aromavale in B right after Skuntank. I like Aromavale a lot on Aromatisse, simply because not being taunted is absolutely amazing, especially for a Pokemon that is throwing off wishes and heal bells and protecting and throwing off trick rooms and calm minding and things like that. It really is absolutely amazing and helping keep the rest of your team healthy, while not having your passive Fat Wish Passer taken advantage of by Taunt, which is one of the easiest ways to do so. So that's obviously really nice for Aromatisse. I think Aromatisse would be much worse if it was Taunt Bait. So that's obviously really, really good for it. As one, you're never going to use this busted ability in Standard Draft, and Ubers, this thing's ridiculous. Break is an F tier ability. I love Zygarde. Now, I don't think that Zygarde is an F tier Pokemon, obviously. Amazing. But when are you using Aura Break in a Draft League setting? You're not, just because of the fact that it basically only affects Yveltal and Xerneas. It is something that you're going to use in Draft League, though, obviously, because Zygarde isn't something that's typically banned, so. We're going to put Bad Dreams and not going to use. I'm pretty sure that's just a Darkrai exclusive ability. Let me check really quick. Yeah, that is Darkrai exclusive. And then Ball Fetch, also F. This is an in-game ability. Not very good. We're going to actually be able to zoom through a couple of these because I guess these last have been pretty awful. Battery, also F tier. Not because it's a bad ability, it's because it's a doubles ability. I believe it boosts your ally special attack by a little bit. So as much as I love Beat Bus, Battery isn't really helping it out too much. I have to take a little sip because we are talking so unbelievably fast. I want to try and get through these fast though. Battle Armor. Battle Armor is a very solid ability, especially in draft where a lot of times you're calcing for specific things, calcing a list specific to it, KOs, and things like that. Being able to avoid those crits and, really be able to set up a defensive game plan a little bit easier and defensively check the ones you're supposed to is awesome. Kabutops might not be the best example of this. Mons like Drapion get Battle Armor. Amazing for Drapion. I pretty much exclusively run Battle Armor on Drapion. Sniper can be cool sometimes just to get that cheeky crit and do a bunch of damage, but Battle Armor is really great at helping you reliably check those, offensive psychics that Drapion is usually tasked with doing. Type Null is another one that's great, and then Mega Slowbro in Showdown Leagues and stuff like that. It makes Mega Slowbro a genuine pain because you can't crit through that thing when it starts Calm Minding up and being an absolute menace. So that's obviously really, really nice on more fat defensive type Pokemon and stuff like that. Battle Bond, you're not going to use it unless your league is allowing Ashgren. If that's the case, then I would probably make the argument for being S tier, or at least very, very high A, but it's Ashgren, so I would be very, very surprised. Beast Boost, S tier. This is going to be our second S tier ability. Genuinely amazing. Look at all the Ultra Beasts. They're all great Pokemon in draft, barring, Guzzlord? Other than that, I think they're all very, very viable in draft. Maybe Xurkitree too. I think Xurkitree is fun though. I love Zerk. That's my boy. If you've been watching our NCP run, genuinely amazing Pokemon. In my mind, at least. I know objectively it's not the best thing in the world, but definitely very, very solid ability. What Beast Boost does, for those of you who don't know, obviously, is it boosts your highest stat after you get a KO with that Pokemon. So if your Neolego has a highest stat being its special attack, it's going to boost its special attack. If you have a Celesteela that has its highest stat as its defense stat, you're boosting the defense stat. Kartana's going to boost its attack stat 90% of the time. And it really lets you, especially in a drafts format, really play with your EVs and tinker with them, especially with ones like Celesteela, to really get optimal beast boosts and really become that fat, unkillable menace, or be that Scarf Kartana that, really whittles down the checks over time and then just comes through and clicks Scarf Leaf Blade in the end game and completely cleans up. Or even being like a speed boosting Nihilego or Kartana and, speccing more into your HP just to get that speed boost and then maybe finding a way to boost another way, like Power of Meteor Beam or Swords Dance on your Kartana or something like that. So Beast Boost is by far one of the best abilities in draft. I think that's a very well-known thing. I don't think you can really argue otherwise, at least in my mind. Now, Berserk, I think Berserk's a really good ability. I think the only two Pokemon it's on it's kind of unfortunate because Drampa is very lackluster. I think it's actually a really cool tier 5. I don't hate Drampa at all. And then Vulture's Galar, which is a big, big disappointment in the sense that it doesn't actually get Roost. If it got Roost, it would be so much better, but it doesn't. I'm going to go ahead and put it at the top of C tier as of right now. Definitely really solid ability. What it does is when you get below half, you basically get a +1 special attack. Now, you can't proc that yourself, so Substitute won't work, at least as far as I understand it. I could be completely wrong. Yell at me in the comments if I am wrong about that, but I'm pretty sure you can't sub down and get the Berserk boost, which kind of does hurt a little bit, because I think that would make it a lot better. I think, like, sub Moltres sets and sub Grandpa sets would be a lot better, like, sub Roost on Drampa for sure. It makes Drampa a lot better. Again, I think Drampa is a very usable Pokemon, but yeah, it's just, it's a lot like Adaptability or Aerialate, or if more Pokemon got these, it would be a lot better. Now, Big Pex. Big Pex is an F tier, really. Not very, very good. Not many uses in the draft format. Now, like, Mons like Mandibuzz get Big Pex, I believe, which is really solid if, like, you're going up against a defensive Pokemon. Like, maybe you're playing a G-Zapdos, and this is your best check. And you're, like, a physically defensive Mandibuzz, or, like, Volibee. That's obviously really solid. Other than that, there are no Pokemon that really take advantage of this super well, especially none that are really good defensive Pokemon, so not the greatest. Now, Blaze, I think I'm going to put these all In C tier, they are useful, and I think people sleep on them, and often you see a lot of starters using their hidden abilities, because usually their hidden abilities are really good. But I think that Blaze and Torrent and Overgrow, I guess I can find those and put them up there while I talk about them. Blaze, Torrent, and Overgrow are all very, very solid in the sense that if you do get down to that pinch, especially with the, Pokemon like Infernape, like a Blaze boosted Flare Blitz is fucking nuking something. There are a lot of really, really strong starters, especially when you start giving them that, that free boost. So I think that these are, pretty slept on abilities. They're not amazing, obviously, but definitely have their uses. I think like sub agility and Porygon can be nasty in some matchups and things like that. So obviously going to be pretty solid there. Bulletproof is a pretty solid ability. I wouldn't say it's like game changing. Obviously, it saves you from like bullet-based attacks, like bomb type moves and stuff like that. Shadow Ball, Sludge Bomb, Focus Blast, things like that. Pokemon like Komodo get it. Pokemon like Chestnut get it, obviously, as you can see. Are there any other great bulletproof Pokemon? Those are really the only ones. Double, I suppose we're going to be using Fluffy on that most of the time. I can't tell if I want to put this in high C or low B. I'm going to put it in low B because I feel like it does force a lot of prep on certain Pokemon and things like that. I think I am going to put it in low B because now you can't Sludge Bomb the Chestnut if that ends up being, your way of hitting it with your Venusaur or something like that. You can't Focus Blast the Komodo for some reason, you can't Shadow Ball it with your Gengar, so bringing Choice Scarf is a little bit worse. So it gives these Pokemon a tiny bit more defensive utility. I'm going to put it in C. I think C is fair. Cheek Pouch itself is a pretty solid ability. Now what Cheek Pouch does, let me find the actual, what do you call it? Like description for Cheek Pouch. The description is, if this Pokemon eats a berry, it restores 1/3 of its max HP after the berry's effects. Now, there aren't many great Pokemon that get this. You have Pokemon like Diggersby, which you're going to be running huge power on 99.99% of the time, unless you're meming and you want to bring Cheek Pouch. You have like Dedenne, which you're never drafting, and then you have like which you're never drafting. So I think the ability would be really good on, more, if it was more widespread and wasn't just on like, little tiny rodent Pokemon. It would be pretty solid. I'm going to put it in D tier though. I don't think I can really justify putting it anywhere else. Chilling Neigh is just Moxie. It's a really cool name for Moxie. I'm just going to put it in A. I think Moxie is an amazing ability. It's okay on Glastrier specifically, but if we're just talking about like the ability itself, I think it's pretty solid. In the sense that obviously you can kind of just snowball out of control, and obviously on Glastrier, if you do have a solid Trick Room build, it can be pretty scary, and then obviously all the other Moxie Pokemon are really scary when they get rolling, but we'll get there when we get to the M's eventually. Now Chlorophyll, I think Chlorophyll is another A ability. I want to put it above Battle Armor. Now I think Sun teams are a little bit harder to make functioning in draft than other than other weathers and things like that. But I think if you do get a good Sun team, or at least a nice cool Sun element, it can be really scary. We obviously see Venusaur down here with Overgrowth, but Venusaur with Chlorophyll is a genuine threat, especially in Gen 8 where you have access to things like Earth Power and Weather Ball and things like that, which is awesome. We have two pretty good Sunsetters in draft as well, being Torkoal and Ninetales. Torkoal being the better in my opinion, but Ninetales still definitely having its value. And you can draft some really fun things, and I think that another reason that Chlorophyll is good is because it's mostly on grass types, and those grass types are able to take on a lot of those strong fires you're going to draft on Sun builds and just retaliate for a lot of damage. So I think sometimes Sun offense can be really overwhelming to deal with, and I think some of the Pokemon get it, being like a regular Venusaur, or even Vileplume and like Victory Bell and things like that, or even Leafeon. Leafeon's really cool because it's a physical option that has Chlorophyll, so that's obviously really solid. I think that it's not as good as like Swift Swim, but it's still really good nonetheless. Now Clear Body, let me take a sip of my coffee before we talk about Clear Body. Clear Body. Now I love Clear Body. I think it's a very good ability. Maybe it's because it's got my boy Metagross there on the front, but genuinely really solid ability, especially in draft when you have a lot of mons with Intimidate flying around, when you have things like Sticky Web flying around. You have a bunch of different options to really kind of lower stats. Just being able to be completely immune to that is great. You see Dragapult with it right here, which obviously, Metagross here with it, which is obviously really good, not being intimidated, being that strong physical attacker that just clicks buttons every time. But another Pokemon with it that's really good is going to be Dragapult. Obviously, you're one of the fastest Pokemon in the format, not being affected by webs is really, really good. And then another cool one is Tentacruel, because having your spinner not being affected by webs and things like that can obviously be really clutch in getting off that last second spin. And a lot of the time you don't really need Liquid Ooze on Tentacruel, so that can actually come up pretty clutch in a lot of matchups when you are playing against like, webs, hyper offense and things like that. So I think that Clear Body is actually really, really solid in draft format. Would I say it's better than... Honestly, I'm kind of thinking about moving Battle Armor down. I feel like a Moxie, a Clear Body are a little bit better, personally, but no, that's just me. Cloud9, definitely a very niche ability, but I think a very solid one nonetheless. What I think I'm going to do is I think I'm going to actually put it in C. Now, there are really good weather countering Pokemon that do get Clear Body. Not Clear Body. Cloud9, sorry, I'm stuck on the last ability. The main one in my mind being Licky Licky. I think Licky Licky is a great weather check, especially against things like rain and sun, because it is so fat, especially on the Spadef and on both sides really. But being that fat Spadef or Fizdef wall that you need, and not having to worry about the boost from rain. So like that Kingdra throwing off the big surf, you're not getting that boost because the rain's up anymore, and it's not going to do half as much as it would to Licky, or like that Fire Blast in the sun is going to kind of bounce off because you're Licky Licky and you're fat. And I think the addition of it getting, to be able to run Cloud9 along with Wish and Protect due to the ability capsules that were introduced in the Crown Tundra is another big boost for Licky. Typically before you would have to run like Rest Talk when you wanted to run Cloud9 if you wanted to be your defensive check, but now you can still get that Cleric and Wish Passer utility out of it while it's still checking that weather offense and things like that. Now, color change, pretty bad ability, especially because it's just Kecleon. And why are you not running? If you're drafting Kecleon in general, why are you not drafting? Why are you not bringing Protean? So why? Again, there's literally no reason other than it being like an annoying Protean, like fat Spadef, AVMon, or like Stealth Rock or Trigger Setter kind of thing. There's no reason to run color change though. Maybe like 1 out of every 200 matchups, you'll find a fun use for color change. Next up, we have Comatose, though. Comatose actually isn't the worst ability. It's a great stat. It makes Kamala a really good budget status absorber. It has Wish, so that's obviously really solid. It makes like the Sleep Talk Last Resort sets really scary against teams without normal resist and immunities, which can obviously be really dope. And it's always nice to have a status absorber, not having to worry about that kind of stuff. So definitely can't complain about Kamala. It's just the fact that it's literally just Kamala. So doesn't make it the best ability in the world. Now, next up we have competitive. Now, competitive, I'm going to rank a little bit lower than Defiant when we get to Defiant. Reason being, I don't think that many very good Pokemon get competitive. Really, the 2 best Pokemon that get it are going to be Milotic and Articuno Galar. Milotic, oftentimes you're going to want to, take advantage of Marvel Scout. Now, there are niche matchups where you're going to be playing against Lando T and you think you can catch the double and get in and get the Intimidate boost and then throw off +2 Scalds or Surfs and Ice Beams and things like that. And that can be super clutch, like no denying it. And then you have Articuno Galar, which does struggle with a lot of Pokemon. It's very strong. It gets recovery, but it struggles with specific typings like, Fat Steels especially. So it's not the best Pokemon in the world. It's a very niche Pokemon that doesn't get drafted a lot. Other than that, you have things like Boltund, Gothitelle, which you're going to be running Shadow Tag, Wigglytuff, which can actually be a fun sleeper pick. We have both the Meowstics, obviously, Gothorita. So in my mind, it's a good ability. It's a very good ability. And I guess if I didn't say it, when you get a stat lowered, it boosts your special attack by 2. That's what competitive does. I think it's a really good ability. I think it's just obviously not on a lot of Pokemon, so that makes it a lot worse. Now, we have Compound Eyes. I think Compound Eyes is an A-tier ability. Now, I would probably say a little bit better than Battle Armor. It makes a lot of unviable Pokemon viable, in my mind. You can draft things like, Vivillon or something like that to Sleep Powder in the Quiver Dance in like niche matchups. Or you can draft even a Butterfree if it's your favorite Pokemon. It'll at least have some kind of use with Compound Eyes. And it really makes Galvantula much more of an offensive menace. Now, Galvantula actually only has 97 base special attack, but when you throw off big thunders with 90+% accuracy, it makes that Pokemon seem a lot stronger than it really is, and really helps make up for it. And also giving it that that niche of being a good web setter. So I think Compound Eyes is probably an A-tier ability, just because it really helps the Pokemon that it does have, if that makes any sense. So I think it's definitely very solid in its own right. Contrary, ooh, I think, man, do I think Contrary is an S tier ability, or do I think it's A tier? That's another really, really, like, not very widely distributed ability. It's just Malamar and Superior, right? And then Lurantis and Shock, but it's just Malamar and Superior, and Spinda, I guess. I'm going to say top of A tier, right behind Adaptability. For a lot of similar reasons. I think it makes Malamar a very good niche pick as a dark, and I think it makes Superior an amazing Pokemon, where it typically wouldn't be a great Pokemon. Now, Superior gets, contrary, what it does is, it basically gives you the opposite stat boost. So if you were supposed to get your stat boosted, like say you clicked Calm Mind with your Contrary Superior, you would actually get a -1 special attack and special defense. Now, it also does the opposite for when you lower your stats. So when you click Leaf Storm with your Superior, you get a +2 special attack instead of a -2. When you click Superpower with your Contrary Malamar, you get a +1 defense and attack instead of a -1 defense and attack. So it really makes those Pokemon great. It really makes them really scary snowballing threats if they get out of hand. It's just they're the only two, really viable Pokemon that get it, other than like maybe Lurantis, which gets Leaf Storm and Superpower, to be fair. So it can be really fun, like low tier grass. But I typically want more expensive grasses personally. But yeah, I think it's a really, really solid ability. It's just a little bit held back in this tiering list, just because of the Pokemon that can like really take advantage of it, if that makes any sense at all. Next up, we have Corrosion. I think Corrosion is genuinely amazing. This makes this Pokemon ridiculously hard to deal with. I'm going to put it right here in the middle of A tier. Now, what Corrosion does is allows you to poison everything. That means it allows you to poison steel types. It allows you to poison other poison types as well, which typically would be immune. And that makes this Pokemon with a sub-toxic protect like Flamethrower set genuinely annoying to play against, because you do have to account for the offensive presence that Salazzle has, but also these sub-toxic protect sets really just bully a lot of slower teams, because this thing is so fast. It can often just, especially if it catches you with a toxic on the switch, it can protect, or if it's already behind a sub when it comes in, it protects, it toxics, it protects, it subs, it protects. It just really gets out of hand really fast with Black Sludge and things like that. So I think that Salazzle is an amazing Pokemon, and yeah, really, really solid. Now, I'm going to put Cotton down at the bottom of D. Reason being, I believe it gives you a -2 special attack if the Pokemon that's attacking you makes contact with you. Now, on paper, that's pretty good. The only issue is the only Pokemon that gets it is Cottony. I mean, not Cottony. Eldegoss. I guess it looks like Cottony. And Eldegoss sucks. And even then, if Eldegoss sucks, if you're drafting it, you're running Regenerator, which is something we'll talk about later. Probably the best ability in the game, in my personal opinion. But we'll get there. So yeah, I think it's definitely a useful ability. It's just literally never going to be seen, other than like 1 or 2 games a generation. Curious Medicine, I'm gonna put an F because it is a doubles ability. It might be good in doubles. I don't know much about doubles. And now Curse Body, I'm gonna put at the top of B tier. The reason I'm gonna put it at the top of B tier is because I love this ability, and I hate this ability because it's completely pretty much luck dependent. And sometimes you'll cheese some games, and you'll get some games you'll win because of Curse Body happening. Like I have my good buddy Kirby. He once lost a game basically recently, in the last year. I won't even say recently, where he lost because he clicked Pyro Ball with the Cinderace on a Gengar, killed it, but then it Curse Bodied, and then Aromatisse came in, and shenanigans ensued, and he couldn't kill the Aromatisse with Pyro Ball, which he was in range of, because he got Curse Bodied and he didn't have any other coverage for it. So obviously, can really cheese some people out of some wins. It's obviously great, especially with Jellicent being able to spam recover sometimes and really hope for the best. So it is a little RNG reliant. Sometimes you get really unlucky and it can just not proc, but sometimes you can, and it can save your ass. So I think that's definitely solid. Speaking of RNG dependent abilities, you have Q-Charm. I'm gonna put Q-Charm at the bottom of D. It's not genuinely useless, but it's not something you're typically gonna run. You have to not only get lucky with it procking and them staying infatuated, but you also have to get lucky enough that you have the opposite gender of them, and a lot of the times it's just random with a lot of people, so not the best. Damn, I'm gonna put it right above Q-Charm. If you're really expecting something to boom or something like that, Damn can actually be kind of clutch, I guess. Not actually, I'm gonna put it below Q-Charm. I'm gonna put an F. I'm sorry, we'll leave it at the top of F. Not a very good ability though. I'm also gonna move this one up, and this one up because they're actual singles abilities. Dancer, another one I'm going to put right here. It can't technically be used in singles. Dancer basically just copies other dancing moves. So if you're Oricorio and the Volcarona goes for Quiver Dance from your face, you'll also Quiver Dance on that turn, not counting the attack you're using. So in doubles, it can actually be really cool. I remember I used to like have like a Volcarona, you know, Electric Oricorio team because I thought it was really fun. But honest to God, it's really not the, it's definitely not the best in a draft setting. So definitely not the best. We're gonna see Dark Aura and Dauntless Shield both move down right here. Dazzling basically just blocks priority. Now on Bruxish, which is already a very seldom drafted mon as is, and you're not going to see it typically. You're going to see Strong Jaw just because if you draft Bruxish, you're going to use it to break through teams and really just try and do a lot of damage. So you're not going to see it typically. Now obviously blocking priority is good, and there are other Pokemon that do that. So I think that it at least deserves like high D, just because it is a Bruxish ability. Defeatus is an F tier ability. I'm only putting it ahead of Ball Fetch because of the fact that it's a singles ability. Nah, it's genuinely awful. I'd rather have these than Defeatus because at least they don't negative impact me. I love Archeops. I think it's a great low tier Pokemon. However, I think that this ability is one of the worst in the game, and they did it to like nerf Archeops and like, you know, just in case it was too broken, but then power creep happened and it definitely wouldn't be too broken. So I'm gonna move this right here. I'm gonna move Defiant all the way up to A tier. I'm just keeping this here as like a Moxie filler. I think like obviously, yeah, we're just gonna leave it there as a Moxie filler. Now Defiant, what it does is it's basically physical competitive. I guess they're right above each other too, which is funny. And it gives you a +2 attack whenever your stats are lowered, whether that be Intimidate. So it's a great Intimidate deterrent, especially because a lot of teams' way of dealing with physical offense is Intimidate pivoting with their Landers, their Hitmontop, their Incineroar, a bunch of different things like that. Or it's a really good anti-webs option, especially with a Pokemon like Bisharp that has Sucker Punch priority that doesn't necessarily just like, you know, auto loses if its speed drops. This thing getting +2 for free is genuinely terrifying. And it can really just cleave through teams, so you have to be very careful about how you play with stat drops around Pokemon with Defiant. Another great Pokemon with Defiant would be like Galar Zapdos. Galar Zapdos is a great Intimidate deterrent. It's a great Defog deterrent too. I forgot to mention that these two abilities can be procced via Defog, which is obviously really, really solid on hazard stack builds where you'll see a lot of these Pokemon very often. Like I said, Bisharp and Zapdos get it. Two other great options I get it are going to be like Obstagoon. Pissimian's a great one. Braviary is another solid one. And Tornadus and Thundurus can also be really solid with physical sets. I've run like sub bulk up Fly versus like Landers T teams in Gen 8 because again, you intimidate me, I boost my attack, and I sub up and I start bulking up in your face, and I get, you know, pretty scary. Now we're gonna get to Disguise. I'm gonna wait just in case Deary's watching, and he's waiting for me to talk about Mimikyu's favorite Pokemon. Let's just give him a minute to, you know, get amped up and stuff like that. So I'm gonna take a sip. Mimikyu sucks. Mimikyu sucks. Not a very good Pokemon. But I think Disguise is a great ability. Obviously, if any other Pokemon got Disguise, it would be genuinely awesome for it. You can't complain about Disguise whatsoever. And there's the single only thing keeping Mimikyu from being an unviable piece of doo-doo butter. I think that Disguise is an amazing ability. Basically what it does is it gives you a free turn. It's like a free substitute almost. Now it did get nerfed. It's definitely worse than it was in Gen 7. Now you can't get away with like, you know, focus dash sets and things like that as easy, but it was more so a doubles nerf, not as big of a deal in singles. I think Mimikyu's real buff or like nerf in Generation 8 draft is actually due to the fact that it lost Z moves, so a lot of its breaking power is really, really gone. A lot of like the SDZ sets, I think were really, really solid. Now you're kind of pigeonholed in the Life Orb where you're doing no damage whatsoever. But Disguise is an absolutely amazing ability. Getting a free turn just for existing is literally zero drawback, and it can lead to some really, really good scenarios for yourself. Whether you be that SD set, or whether you be like a really weird like Trick Room set, so it's really good on Trick Room, or you be like a weird Curse set or Will-O-Wisp or something like that, getting a guaranteed burn on something. So Mimikyu is solely made a viable Pokemon via its ability. Otherwise, it just wouldn't be. Now, next up we have Download. Download, I'm gonna say, is very low A. We're gonna put it at the bottom of A. Download is very solid in specific niche instances, especially with P2. If you can get that special attack boost, that's obviously awesome. Now you don't only get the boost on your tri-attack, you get the boost on your Bolt Beam, things like that. Same thing with PZ, though often you are going to run Adaptability, especially on PZ. Just clicking tri-attack. Download could be, download could be really dope. Especially in like Gen 7 when P2 could run Return and you would want to like, attack that Spit F wall. That's going to try and set up Calm Minds up on you. Like getting +1 returns really does help out a lot. So what download basically does, it gives you a +1 in special attack or physical attack based on the Pokemon he switches in lowest stats. So you can kind of, try and take advantage of that. Now, as for other Pokemon that really get it to take advantage of it, let's see. I'm kind of blanking on what all gets downloaded. I know Genesect does. Genesect's broken. It's literally just Genesect and Porygon, the Porygon line. So I'm gonna put it. See, being that I hear that, obviously Genesect's broken with it. Genesect's not something you're seeing in regular draft. It's a Genesect. I'm gonna put it in here. I think it's worse than Analytic. Yeah, I think it's worse than Analytic. That's just me though. Dragon's Maw, I'm gonna put it at the bottom of B. It makes Regidrago very scary to switch into if you don't have a fairy type. Obviously, if you have a fairy type, it's not too much of an issue. But on its own, on paper, very strong ability. It basically is like a big giant massive boost for what do you call it? Dragon type moves. I want to see what the exact boost is though. 1.5. So basically, yeah, it's just like Dragon type adaptability, isn't it? I'm pretty sure. No, because it boosts your special attack stat, not the stab multiplier. So definitely really solid though. Now we're gonna have Drizzle and Drought. We're gonna do these together. I'm gonna put Drizzle in the top of A for now, and then I'm going to put Drought in. Top of S, and then I'm gonna put Drought in the top of A. Now, Drizzle better than Drought because Rain teams are better than Sun teams. I kind of talked on this earlier with Chlorophyll, but Rain is ridiculously easy to build around. It's very brain dead and it's very broken. And Rain is easy to have your whole team benefit, whether it be your Flying type clicking Hurricane or your Grass type not taking a lot of damage from Fire type, which is like your Ferrothorn or something like that. Whereas Drought, it's nice for Chlorophyll mods, it's nice for boosting fire moves. And I guess for like your fire types and ground types not taking as much from water moves. Other than that, not as easily spammable. I guess you can take advantage of Solar Beam too. Much less reliable though, because like at least with Hurricane outside of Rain, it is still usable. Solar Beam, not the case. So I think that Drizzle is, and like Rain teams are obviously exponentially better than Sun teams in draft. And they win the 1v1, so easy. But still both very, very, very good abilities that you can just, straight up build teams around very, very easily. So I'm going to put Drought in A and Drizzle in S. And also, I think the Pokemon that get Drizzle are better than the Pokemon that get Drought. Being Pelipper and Politoed are better than Ninetales and Torkoal, in my mind. Dry Skin, it's always nice having an immunity, especially just water when Scald is one of the most spammable moves in the game. So I don't think you can really complain about that. It makes things like Heliolisk really good on Rain. Same thing with Toxic Poke, even Jinx potentially on some teams. So definitely a very solid ability. Early Bird, we're gonna put it at the bottom of the D. Waking up early isn't that big of a deal, especially on the Pokemon that are getting it, aren't typical running, especially like Xatu. What are you ever running? What do you call it? Early Bird Xatu over at Magic Bounce. Why let yourself get to put sleep when you just Magic Bounce back at them? So definitely not the craziest thing. FX4, I'm going to put in C. It's again a pretty RNG reliant ability, but it makes things like Vileplume really annoying. It makes Pokemon, or even like Shiinotic, really, really annoying. Those are really the only two that you're going to see it typically ran on, but it makes those U-turns a little bit less free for the opponent to, grab momentum off of you, or those knockoffs, or those close combats, or whatever move you're using, your Vileplume or your Shiinotic to pivot into. It just makes your opponent think twice about them, and nabbing that cheeky para, that burn, or actually I don't think it can burn. I think it can para, sleep. You can para, sleep, and poison. Yeah. Okay, cool. So grabbing one of those can be really game changing. I've drafted Vileplume a ton. And I won't lie to you, FX4 totally saved my ass a few times. Now, Electric Surge, I'm going to put Electric Surge at the top of A. If this were Gen 7, I would probably put an S because it made Coco incredibly, incredibly strong. However, It did get nerfed in Gen 7. All of the Surge abilities did, to where Terrain only does 1.3 times the amount of damage now instead of 1.5. But you're able to block Sleep. You're able to make your Electric Surge really fast. You can pair a lot of Pokemon that really benefit from the Electric Surge, as well as the other Surge abilities that we'll throw up here in a little bit as well. I guess I could just put Grassy Surge up here. Let's go down to Misty Surge. I might as well just grab them now, because I'm not going to talk about them twice. Misty Surge, let's see. How long have we been recording? 40 minutes. Goodness gracious, we're gonna have to start kind of speeding up a little bit here. Misty Surge and then Psychic Surge, right? Where is it at? Can't read. There we go. Awesome. So yeah, we're gonna put those all in A. I think it makes Tapu's exponentially better, obviously, and they all, can really help you build around your teams and what do you call it? Tailor make teams that really benefit from your terrain, and give you optimal ways of winning and things like that. So obviously very, very solid. Emergency Exit. I think Emergency Exit's a lot better than people say. I'm going to put it at the bottom of C because it can be very detrimental sometimes, but sometimes it can be used. You can make Golisopod a great pivot with Emergency Exit. Use it to sponge that hit, go below 50%, and then get a free switch out to something else, which can be awesome. I think this Pokemon's a lot better with boots as well, just in general. So we'll take that for sure. Fairy Aura. Super Doo-Doo Butter. Filter. Filter is actually a really good ability. I'm going to put it in B, probably below Dry Skin, simply because the only real great Pokemon that get Filter is Mega Aggron. Other than that, it's just the Mimes, because they're Mimes. But Mega Aggron being able to filter and take nothing from Earthquakes. I've built Mega Agrons as my Excadrill checks before, especially with that thing getting Body Press in Gen 8. So that makes Mega Aggron almost unkillable in a lot of matchups, because that's your way of breaking through Pokemon, is hitting them with super effective moves. So being able to just avoid that, awesome. Flame Body. Flame Body, Flame Body, Flame Body. I'm going to say that Flame Body is probably going to be an A tier ability for me. Yeah, Flame Body is amazing, especially on Pokemon like Moltres. It's another U-turn deterrent like Effect-Spore, but even to a bigger extent, because those physical attacking U-turners are going to have to take that burn and just not be as big of a threat, and take that passive damage as well. Obviously, really, really, really solid on cheeky Pokemon like that. So Flame Body definitely very, very solid. I think it's a great Pokemon to get it. Volcarona is great. Heat Train gets it as a hidden ability that you can run now. Talonflame is great with Flame Body. Flame Body Talonflame has saved my ass a few times. Scourge, Colossal, Rapidash. So there's definitely some great Pokemon that end up getting access to this that are really, really good in the end. Flare Boost, I'm not gonna lie to you, Flare Boost is pretty bad. We're gonna put it at the bottom of D. It has its uses, but it's not gonna be used very often. Flash Fire, I love immunity. Having an immunity, just a free switch into something is always great. Now, I don't think it's absolutely amazing. I'm gonna put it in the middle of B. Not the worst thing, not the best thing. Liv's gonna hate me for this. I'm gonna put this thing in D as well. It's a Charm exclusive ability. While the ability itself might not be the worst thing in the world, it's still Charm that is taking advantage of it, if that makes any sense. So I'm gonna just filter it and just show you guys exactly what Flower Gift does. It says if the user is Charm and Sunny Day is active, it boosts the allies' attack and special defense by 1.5. And allies, so it's not just Charm. It's okay in doubles, but even then, if it's boosting your attack and your special attacker, what are you really gaining? So I'm tempted to put this thing in F. I'd rather have Big Pecs or something like that, to be completely honest. So yeah, I'll take that. Flower Veil, basically useless ability. We're gonna put it back here. Nothing's gonna be worse than Archeops though, because Archeops is genuinely bad for you. Fluffy's a very good ability. I think I'm gonna put it right here. Simply because boosting that defense just at the cost of having a fire weakness isn't that big of a deal, especially when having a bulky water is such an important thing to have. Getting that one more weakness really doesn't end up being that big of a deal. Sorry, I totally accidentally clicked on Discord and stuff. OBS. I was just trying to see how long we've been recording. It's been a minute and we're in the Fs. So, though I think that we're hopefully making some kind of progress. I might even, split this into 2 parts. Cut this off at an hour or something. I may be thinking. Because good lord, so hit that 20 like goal, and we'll get the part 2 out sometime early next week or something like that. Because I don't know if I have it in me to record all of this. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go until Iron Fist. That's where we'll go. Okay, forecast. I'm gonna say it's bottom of D tier. Not an awful ability, but not the best. You know, obviously it's not anything absolutely crazy, but it's on cast farm, so it makes it pretty bad. If it was, you know, on any other Pokemon, maybe it would be pretty decent. Forewarn is just a worse anticipation. What do we have anticipation? We have it in low thing, so I'm gonna put this in like high D. Again, it can have its uses, but it's not the worst thing in the world. Vanguard is essentially useless in singles, I believe. Let me just double check, make sure I'm not tripping, but I think it's solely based on, obviously, your friends. Vanguard, yeah. Pokemon's allies receive 3/4 damage from other Pokemon's attacks, so that's great in doubles, so that's what makes Clefairy good in VGC, but obviously not very good in singles. Frisk is an amazing ability. Now, I don't think of Gothitelle when I think of Frisk. I think of things like Noivern, but Frisk is an absolutely amazing ability. Being able to find out your opponent's item in a counter-building format and a counter-teaming format where you are building for your opponent's team ahead of time is genuinely amazing. I'm 100% a firm believer of that. So I think Frisk is for sure an A-tier ability. You know what? I might even put it up here, to be completely honest. That might just be a me thing. But I love making use of Frisk, especially on things like Noivern, really help. Full Metal Body is literally just Clear Body, but on Solgaleo, so it sounds cooler. I'm going to put that in, not going to use, but it's basically Clear Body, so just think about it that way. Fur Coat, awesome ability. I'm going to put this above Compound Eyes. Now, Furfrou obviously isn't a great Pokemon. You're not going to see it very often, but it's great for Alolan Persian. Makes Alolan Persian much pokier than it really should be, and being a great, Fizz Def pivot and things like that, and really sponging physical hits a lot easier. Gale Wings. Gale Wings obviously used to be one of the best abilities in the game, bar none. Used to be one of the absolute best abilities in the game. However, it got nerfed to hell and back in Gen 7, basically meaning that only Talonflame can use it at 100% HP. It's a little bit better this gen, being that Talonflame can rock with boots and Dueling Beat to not, obviously auto take it out of Gale Wings range. And you can obviously use it with things like Tailwind and things like that too, which is really, really cool. So I'm going to go ahead and put this in B tier, probably right behind Fluffy. Yeah, you used to also be able to get off like priority roosts and things like that, which is really, really nice. Taking away your flying and typing sometimes too, which is definitely very, very nice. Galvanize, I think Galvanize is a pretty meh ability. It's basically just on Alolan Golem. Yeah, it's just on Alolan Golem, man. Alolan Golem is Alolan Golem. And most of the time you're going to be using Magnet Pull if you decide to draft Alolan Golem anyways. So really, really not all that too beneficial, to be completely and utterly honest. But yeah, Gluttony. Gluttony's used to be a very great ability, especially on things like Lax, mainly when berries were better. Now, if you don't know, there were 50% berries like Iapapa and Aguav and things like that, to where when your Pokemon got below 25 or 33, something like that percent, I think it's 25%, you would get 50% of your HP back, just like that. And that was amazing, especially on mons like Snorlax, because Gluttony lets you eat your berries at half health instead. So it was basically like a free recover off rip, especially with mons like Snorlax that got recycle and things like that. But they did recently nerf those berries because of how good Snorlax was in BGC. In Gen 8, they nerfed it down to 33%. So those berries became not as good. They're still very good, and not the worst thing at all in the world. I think I'm going to put it above Gale Wings. I think it definitely has its merits. You don't see Gluttony Lax as often anymore, as you do like Thick Fat and even Immunity sometimes on some really annoying sets and things like that. So I definitely can't complain. There aren't any other Pokemon that are really amazing that take advantage of Gluttony. Yeah, really the best one is just going to be Big Lax. And then Lanoon. Obviously Lanoon, I totally forgot about that thing. Clicking Belly Drum and getting all of its health back. Basically, now it only gets 33%, which makes it a little bit more difficult to set up sometimes. Just kind of makes you have to play more carefully with your Lanoon, if that makes any sense. So definitely very solid nonetheless. Gooey I actually like a lot on Goodra. A lot of people don't really like it. I'm gonna put it kind of towards the top of C tier. Maybe let's put it behind the starter abilities. Gooey, basically when an opponent makes contact with you, it lowers their speed. That can be really nice for speed control, especially if you're using Goodra to pivot into a really strong threat that you can take one hit from, but you might be slower than, because you're Goodra. dropping its speed can make it really clutch and being able to revenge it after. Guerrilla Tactics. I think Guerrilla Tactics is for sure an A tier ability. It makes Galarian Darmanitan a genuine monster. It's literally the only Pokemon with it though. So it is an exclusive ability, but again, G-Darm is awesome, and it's really, really strong with that thing. Now, I'm personally, okay, I see G-Darm is awesome. I think G-Tactics is awesome. I'm not the biggest fan of G-Darm. I think it's an incredibly overhyped Pokemon, especially in the draft format. I think most people are kind of coming to realize that G-Darm isn't the best thing in the world, but I think you'd be kind of ridiculous to not admit that this is a really, really good ability, especially in the hands of a good player. Getting an automatic choice band boost onto your Pokemon at the expense of locking into a move, which something like regular Darmanitan already did run Banded or Scarf most of the time anyways. Now you can be Banded and Scarf at the same time. Or you can have an instant +2 because you ran Choice Band. You got Banded on your band, which again is genuinely terrifying in the right matchup, especially if you just don't have good pivots into G-Darm. So that's obviously genuinely terrifying to deal with sometimes. Grassy Pelt, I'm pretty sure that this ability is like all but useless. Let me just double check exactly what it does. I'm kind of forgetting. No, only Go-Go gets it. If Grassy Pelt is active, this Pokemon's defense is multiplied by 1.5. I'm just going to go ahead and put this in the bottom of D tier. Well, I guess technically you could draft this with like Boo. Most of the time you're going to use Sap Sip or Go-Go just for the immunity, because the immunity is really, really solid. So, yeah, I'd be very surprised. Grimnay, it's special Moxie, which is so cool, by the way. The fact that they finally did that. I'm going to put it below like the Moxie that we have right here in Chilling Day, just because this is the only Pokemon with it. There are no other Pokemon that get any kind of special Moxie, but and Moxie obviously is a +1 to your attack when you knock out a Pokemon. Grimnay is +1 to your special attack, which makes Spectre really scary in matchups where you don't have a sufficient Ghost Resist or immunity. It just clicks Shadow Ball and cleaves through. Now, I'm not a big fan of Spectre as a Pokemon. I think it's pretty lackluster just because Dark and Normal types exist. But in the right matchup and in the right player's hands with proper support, this thing can really snowball in an endgame and really just cleave through a ton of teams and just rip through them. Gold Missile, I love you, Cram. I'm gonna put you above. What do you call it? Cotton Down. Just because I think you're my boy. Gold Missile is the most useful thing. We can get some, nice chip damage and we get this Chi pair off. I still don't know exactly how the mechanics of Gold Missile work, if I'm being completely honest, but it's very solid. Guts is an A tier ability. I'm gonna go ahead and put it above Chlorophyll. Guts gives you a big boost to your attack whenever you are status, so Pokemon like Conkeldurr become a genuine issue when they have a Flame Orb on them and they're just Guts boosted and clicking buttons. Same thing with Heracross, Obstagoon, Machamp to a lesser extent. If you burn an Eevee like Girder, it becomes even more annoying to deal with. Hariyama can be really scary. Swallow, throwing off Guts boosted facades and things like that. So Guts is really nice. It's great to have a Pokemon, especially physical attackers, that can take those burns that a lot of physical walls or Pokemon that are trying to check your physical offense are going to throw around, and turn that to their advantage. And there's not a lot of Pokemon that switch in these Guts boosted months coverage. And I think it's also a testament to like the Pokemon that get it. Obviously, Conk is one of the best wall breakers in the game. Heracross is terrifying for some teams, and it also has the options of like Moxie too. And then Obstagoon, obviously, its stabs being Dark and Normal plus that close combat coverage is basically unguardable in the tier. And all of these Pokemon have great natural bulk too, so they're going to be a pain to get rid of an outflow too. So definitely scary. Next up we have Harvest. I'm going to go ahead and put Harvest, let's say right here. Harvest is nice, especially, for some cheeky, like Citrus Harvest sets and things like that. It can be genuinely pretty annoying. Now the Pokemon that get Harvest aren't the best. You have Trevenant and you have the Aggies, but they definitely make use of the ability, so you can't complain. Healer, another doubles ability, so we're just going to go ahead and put that in F tier. Heatproof is really slept on, especially on Bronzong. I've used Heatproof Bronzong a few times, especially because of the fact that a lot of the time, people are too scared to click the ground move on your Bronzong, because you're likely going to be levitating most matchups. So Heatproof can be great. I've built like an AV Bronzong to be my Salazzle check before because I lost to Salazzle. It was back in like NCP pre-home days. It was not fun drafting with those, but I think that Heatproof definitely has its merits, and I think it, giving it that resistance when people are, like, oh, it's weak to fire move and I can't click Earthquake, can really catch some people off guard and be really, really annoying. Heavy Metal. I can't say that Heavy Metal is an awful ability. Can't say that it's great. It's nice having boosted heavy slams and things like that. It also comes with the downside of, you know, taking more damage from low kick, especially when you are weak to low kick. But it makes Pokemon like Aggron a little bit stronger. It makes Pokemon like Copperajah a lot stronger. If you're running like a physical Duraludon, it can also help with that. But mostly going to be Copperajah and Aggron that really benefit from it. However, I'm still going to put it in C tier, maybe above Anticipation and Emergency Exit, because it's probably a little bit better. But yeah, Honey Gather, also a useless ability. Huge Power is a genuinely awesome ability. It makes Pokemon like Azumarill, like Diggersby, genuinely terrifying to deal with. And yeah, it's awful to deal with huge power Pokemon like this. Mega Mawile obviously is another one that comes to mind. I'm gonna go ahead and put it above Guts because I think it makes or breaks these Pokemon. Well, some of these other Pokemon in this that get these abilities in these tiers, it would be okay or good without them. Huge Power makes the Pokemon that it gets, that get it. Huge Power being Diggersby, Azumarill, and Mega Mawile. Makes them genuine pains to switch into. Hunger Switch, I'm going to go ahead and put it like the top of D. It's not great. It's not awful. It puts you in some advantageous situations. It can put you in some disadvantageous situations. And you have to be a really smart player in navigating your turns with that ability and things like that. Now, next up we have Delibird with Hustle. Obviously not just Delibird. There are other great Hustle Pokemon. Durant comes to mind and a terrifying wall breaker. And what Hustle does is it basically makes it to where your physical attacks are 1.5 times in power, but your accuracy is 0.8 times what it usually would be. So it makes you a lot more inaccurate, but it makes you a lot stronger. And Pokemon like Dracozolt and Durant get it. What other great Pokemon get Hustle? Let's see. Is there anything, what do you call it? Rufflet, you can even draft Rufflet potentially. I guess Flammable is a potential option, I suppose. But really, realistically, the best Pokemon that get Hustle are going to be Dracozolt and Durant. Now, it'll make or break you in some games and make you lose some games, but it'll also just help you rip through teams with Durant pretty easily. So I'm going to go ahead and say that is a B tier ability, above competitive, just because I think obviously it's the same thing. A couple better Pokemon get competitive. I mean, Hustle opposed to competitive. Well, competitive might be a better, ability overall. I think Hustle is utilized better, if that makes any sense. Hydration on Manaphy is really solid. I'm going to go ahead and put it... I'm going to put it right here in B tier. It makes like those rest call mindsets terrifying. It makes Manaphy really good on rain. Just a genuinely annoying Pokemon to deal with. Hypergrid can be really nice in these matchups where you think you're going to get intimidated. Obviously, blocking Intimidate is always nice. I think it's just pretty much as the ability goes. A lot of times you're going to see other abilities on these, really scary Pokemon. Things like Crawdon with Adaptability, Sheer Force Kingler, Intimidator, Sheer Force Mawile. But there are some matchups where it could be nice. I'm going to move it down then actually, looking at the Pokemon that get it and how they're never going to run it, I suppose. Next up we have Ice Body. Ice Body's really not that good. I'm going to go ahead and put it in D. Not an objectively awful ability, but not really ever going to be used because it's on Glalie. And I guess like Walrein. If you're going to draft Walrein stall, it'll work. Ice Face, I'm going to put in C. Solely for the fact that it's the only thing that makes Ice Cube usable. And I say that nicely. I don't think Ice Cube is usable. I think it's just worse disguise. Obviously, it can be really nice in some matchups. And I think it's really good against players who haven't played it before or don't really know what they're doing. And no disrespect when I say that. I more so mean like, if you don't know what the ability does and you hit it with a physical attack as it belly drums or something like that, things are going to be difficult for you to deal with and stuff like that, especially because you can sub afterwards, get your Scalic Berry, and then it becomes probably a win. But if not, you just don't attack with a physical move and you're vibing. So that's obviously nice. Next up we have Ice Scales, another really good ability. I believe this just doubles your special defense stat. I mean, look, I think it's a Frostmoth exclusive ability. Let's go ahead and click on Frostmoth. Yeah, and well, you receive half damage from special attacks, so that's obviously really solid. Just taking half the damage is great. The only issue is that it's only on Frostmoth, and if this thing got Roost, it would be so much better, but the ability itself is very good, so I think we at least give it a C. Illuminate, useless ability, doesn't do anything in battle. Illusion makes Zoroark a good Pokemon. I'll be 100% honest. Without it, it wouldn't be very good. And Illusion at least lets you play mind games, I think, in an experienced player's hands. Zoroark can be very annoying in facilitating cool end games with Zoroark winning when it's disguised as different Pokemon, giving it that, that opportunity to set up a nasty plot or something like that. So that's obviously cool. Immunity, I think immunity is really good on Lax. I'm gonna go ahead and put it. I'm gonna put it in high B. Not being able to be toxic on your fat normal type that just doesn't die can be really, really nasty if unprepared for and stuff like that. So if your way of only beating Snorlax is toxicing it, you're gonna have a bad time. Gligar is also another great, recipient of immunity. Being another mon that's really hard to break down. Not being able to toxic some of these fat mons can be really annoying. But again, not very widely distributed. Imposter is an amazing ability. I think we put Imposter in A solely because of the fact that like Ditto on its own forces so much prep as a low tier Pokemon and deterring your opponent from wanting to click those setup moves for free and, you know, just set up to +6 on all their Pokemon, because then you just switch in your Ditto, you steal their boost, and you win instead because you got your Choice Scarf. Obviously there are ways Ditto can be played around with subs and, you know, fat setup. It doesn't really deal with super well like Calm Mind Reuniclus. Usually is going to be, a Ditto Calm Minded Reuniclus and stuff like that, especially because you only have 5 PP and stuff like that. So I think it definitely deserves its own A tier slot just because of how annoying it can be. Infiltrator on Noivern. I think Infiltrator is also an A tier ability. I'll be completely honest. I really, really like Infiltrator. Being able to go through screens, being able to go through subs, especially sub-seed Pokemon when you have Pokemon like Noivern, going through your subs, clicking Hurricanes is awesome because those are obviously some of the ones that are often clicking sub. Things like Crobat and Golbat also get it, which is really nice. Spiritomb, which is great. Chandelure, not being able to sub, and Chandelure just coming and clicking Shadow Ball and Fire Blast is awesome. And Dragapult is another Pokemon that actually gets Infiltrator. And a lot of the times, these Pokemon not having to worry about screens and stuff is genuinely amazing. Like, really, really solid for them. So I think Infiltrator is for sure an A tier ability. No doubt, no doubt. Next up, we're getting pretty close to getting to the end of the first half of the video, of this series. And that's going to be Innards Out. Innards Out really isn't very good. I'm gonna put it at the top of F. It has the uses, but if you're drafting really garbage Pikamuku, you're running unaware. There's no reason to run it otherwise. I guess it kind of belongs with Quag, the two abilities that they're never actually going to run. So let's just go ahead and move on forward. Inner Focus is a lot better this gen than it was previously. Previously, it just meant you couldn't be flinched, I believe. Now it's immune to Intimidate, so I think that alone kind of catapults it up for me. Probably to right here. Not being able to be intimidated is awesome. I believe Mega Gallade gets Inner Focus, which makes it a lot more difficult to deal with now that you can't Intimidate Pivot it. Entei cannot be intimidated with it if you have an Entei. Crobat, obviously. Yeah, I guess Lucario is another great one. And Hitmonchan, a ton of different, physically offensive fighting types, or just physically offensive Pokemon in general. Sneasel is another great option. So a bunch of different things, and like I said, Mega Gallade is a big one. So any ability that just kind of makes you immune to Intimidate as a physical attacker is nothing to be scoffed at. Insomnia, not the best ability in the world. Let me refresh myself on just what it does, just in case I kind of forgot. It just means you can't fall asleep, which can be nice. Having a sleep absorber is kind of cool. Now, as for the Pokemon that get Insomnia, let me go ahead and look it up again because I accidentally clicked off of it. Realistically, not a ton, especially Pokemon that you're really ever going to use. So I think I put Insomnia kind of here in D tier. Maybe behind Q-Charm is what I'm thinking. Intimidate, I would say Intimidate is an S tier ability in like Generation 7 and prior, but now that there's so many abilities that were kind of like tweaked and tailor-made to kind of stop Intimidate from working, I'm gonna say it's at the top of A tier, personally. I think I'm still gonna put an S tier because there realistically aren't as many Pokemon as we like to think that really are able to block Intimidate as well as we'd like to think, I guess. So I'm gonna still say Intimidate's an S tier ability, a little bit better than Disguise. It makes so many Pokemon so much scarier. Things like Gyarados and Salamence being able to set up Dragon Dance so much easier is genuinely terrifying to deal with. Other great Pokemon like Landorus Therian is made by Intimidate, it just being the catch-all pivot into everything. Incineroar and Arcanine, especially with boots, are great. Hitmontop got a lot better this gen. Scrafty is a great pivot into physically offensive Pokemon, especially with like an AV for the special threats as well. Mega Manectric is also another really, really good one. Granbull's a great low tier fairy and stuff like that. So definitely an amazing ability. I don't think I can really put it lower than that, unfortunately. Next up, we have Intrepid Sword. Not gonna use that, unfortunately. Pretty busted though. Iron Barbs is a great ability, especially in conjunction with like Rocky Helmet, really punishing physical attackers. I think I'm pretty content with putting it like right here, personally. Definitely a very solid ability, especially on Ferrothorn, obviously, the fat, annoying blob that it is. And then lastly, we have Iron Fist. Iron Fist, I would say, that's probably a high B tier ability. I'm gonna put it right here. Obviously, Hitmonchan gets Iron Fist. Other Pokemon that end up getting Iron Fist are Pokemon like Keldor, though you often are running Gut sets. It's really, really strong with Iron Fist sets too. Melmetal, obviously throwing off Iron Fist boosted double Iron Basses and Thunder Punches and Ice Punches is genuinely terrifying. Maybe Melmetal kind of catapult that for me. I think because that makes that Pokemon so difficult to switch into. Then you have things like Golurk throwing off big, Iron Fist boosted Ice Punches and Rain Punches and things. Pangoro is another option. Girder can run it every once in a while if you really want to, though Guts is probably a better option on Girder most of the time because you're going to be more defensive anyways. But yeah, I think that Iron Fist, especially with things like Melmetal and Hitmonchan and Conkeldurr in some matchups, can be really scary to deal with. But yeah, I think that's where we're going to cut it off for now. As you can see, we obviously have a ton more to go through. A ton of amazing abilities to go through. So I'm going to cut it there. Thank you guys so much for watching. I really do appreciate it if you enjoyed. Like I said, be sure to drop a like. We're going to try and set a like goal of 20. So if you can help me get there, that'd be awesome. And then definitely drop a comment on what you agree with, what you don't agree with. Or just boost me in the algorithm. Like I said, I'd really appreciate it. BBR battles will be up again next week. NCP week 10 will go up tomorrow. BBL week, whatever it is, will also go up on Monday. And yeah, with that being said, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one. Later.